Hey, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the watches we got on the last video. So that was pretty exciting to see. And let's get right into it, except I'll do a short intro to this video. So last time we talked about what an agent is and the very two important things the human has to do for an agent. Write a prompt and write an environment where the agent gets dropped into. Now today in this video, this is what we'll build up to. I want to talk about the prompt and these sort of three principles that I like. I call them the clean, clear, and concise, okay? So we'll see how we get from a short but okay prompt, very clean, to a much clearer but a bit too long one, which has some repetitions. Finally, we trim that down with some conciseness and we find the right trade-off. And we'll build this diagram together, okay? So I'm just flashing the end result, but if you stick around until the end, you'll see there's a surprise and sort of a fourth principle that's emerging. So yeah, leave a like, leave a comment. I hope you enjoy the content and expect to see a lot more in this style. We're still not actually going to deploy these in this video. That'll be for next time, but we're working our way there. And tune into the live stream too when that happens eventually. Thanks. Enjoy the video. All right, great. So let's start working on how to write a good AI agent prompt. And the three principles that I like to do, I call them the three C's. And let's do them in order because there kind of is an order to them, right? So let's do the clean first. Okay, so here's what I would do. I would start with something clean, which kind of makes sense if you think about it, right? Start with something clean and minimal. And what I'm going to do is for each principle, I'm going to write two do's and one don't. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, do, don't. Okay. So the way I would start with the clean prompt is I would be specific. So do be specific, even when you write this initial prompt. Do describe the agent environment or the environment as is, okay? So no confabulations, nothing wrong. And don't use vague or ambiguous terms, okay? So these sound kind of basic, kind of natural. If you think about it as a human, you would say, obviously, I need to do this to write a good piece of text in general. And this is no different, okay? And let's go with our example. So we'll go with our example agent, okay? Checking all text documents in a folder for grammar errors automatically, okay? So this kind of tells us what we want the agent to do. It also tells us what the environment is. It's going to be a folder with files, obviously. So, but we'll talk more about that next time. So let's write a clean prompt, which should be, I would start shorter, right? So it can say something very simple. Grammar check all, be specific, Microsoft Word documents, and describe the environment as is in the work folder. Okay, so this is already a big improvement over something that's not clean. Okay, we could have done it this way. We could have done it check all documents in this folder. And let's make the agent also correct. So grammar check and correct all Microsoft Word documents in the work folder. An unclean prompt would have started with correct all documents in this folder, okay? And this is already not clean. Despite it being concise, it's neither clean, it's also not clear. We'll get to that too. But, you know, there's questions here. Which folder? What is this? What are all documents? What exactly does correct mean? This is already a step improvement, right? So we can mark this as a, let's see what we do here. This is already a considerable improvement versus something like this, which is already, if you started with something like this, it's already a yellow flag, I would say. Like, this is not that great. Okay, so there's already some alerts that are being raised and things may not go that well for you. Okay, so this is the clean part. Okay, so what this example is pretty easy, but we can even do better here. Okay, the next part that I like to do is the one where I expand the prompt to a much longer but a clearer one. Okay, so this will be the clear part, and I think it's worth drawing the box a bit wider so we give it more room. So we signify that, where is this? Here it is. Oh no. There's a, whoops. Sorry about the fumbling. So there's a clear part, which is opacity 100. And we can put a small arrow here so that we also add a time dimension. Okay, so we know these are maybe done in order, or this is how I would recommend it at least. Okay. The clear part is where you want to organize the prompt in logical sections and order. Okay. So you want to sort of start being a lot more prescriptive by telling the agent. So you want to improve clarity. For an agent, the way I like to think about it is improving clarity means telling the agent exactly what to do, which also includes a time component. Some people call this sync versus async. I just like to think of it as a time order. Okay, so let's see that we can say that we go to something like this, maybe this, no, maybe this, yes. So organize the prompt in logical sections in order. We don't need the dot here. We also want to be clear, so do be, well, let's say, how should we say this? Do be, let's just say do use correct grammar and structure. Okay. We don't want to confuse the agent. Although there is some overlap with the clean part, but this is sort of an expansion of the clean part. You still want to remain clear. Okay, so do use correct grammar and structure for the logical sections. And of course, we have to be careful that this doesn't get out of hand. Okay, so don't add extra unnecessary facts or instructions. Okay, so how would we expand the prompt, the basic grammar check, and correct all Microsoft Word documents in the work folder? Well, I would start with so think of it as an expansion. So then I would start with a much clearer description of the environment. Okay. So in this case, the environment is a folder. So I would say something like the work, and I'm using backticks here because I like to do that for sort of variable names or file system path names. So the work folder, we can say something like the work folder contains a set of Microsoft Word documents. This is pretty clear now. If you think about, if you read what's there before, this was somehow implied in the same sentence that describes the task. So that's no longer the fact. Now it's clearly written here, and there's also a sequencing because this is an introduction to the agent. Okay, so it tells the agent sort of a situation. Okay, so the work folder contains a set of Microsoft Word documents. Okay, then we can say something like your task is to grammar check all of them for English language grammar. We can cut a bit here. So check all of them for English language grammar and spelling errors. Okay. So again, we're sort of organizing the prompt in order. So first check, and then the part that's missing is, again, it's hidden here. It says and correct. Okay, so I was even wrong here because the example agent will be checking and correcting all text documents in the folder for grammar's error automatically. So the last part that's missing here in the logical structure is to say something like correct all identified errors for each file in place. Now this is where we gain extreme clarity. Okay, so if you look in the original clean prompt, it's not clear enough. In fact, not even the example agent I wrote here, it doesn't tell you what is my expectation. Well, it's that each file gets edited. Okay, so this last line here actually carries a ton of information, and this is pretty much critical because now the agent knows exactly what to do. It's like, oh, okay, I need to check, but then I also need to correct in place. Okay, without this line, it's still not clear to the agent, like, oh, should I create new documents? Should I edit them in place? Should I write a new folder? Okay, now as long as we say in place, this is very clear now, okay? All right, so now that we've expanded the prompt, the third C principle will be concise, which is sort of a contraction again. Okay, so now that we have a very, very detailed prompt, we can go back to being a bit more concise, which I'm also going to draw as, let me see what's happening here. I'm going to hide myself for a bit. So we need the whole stage. And what we want to do in the third stage is, let's find a nice color. We need 2 do's and 1 don't. And now this will also flow in order. Okay, so after you're done being clear, which is an expansion of the prompt, you want to take another look and say, okay, maybe I can do this better. Maybe I can be a bit more concise. Maybe I can group my instructions somehow. And in this case, yes, the answer is we can group our instructions somehow. Otherwise, we would not be doing this. So what do we want from a concise prompt? This is sort of touches on another aspect I talked about in the last video, is we want to use very prescriptive language. Okay, so we want to tell the agent exactly what to do, as exact as possible. That's sort of a bit different from clarity, because in clarity we describe the goal very clear. In prescriptive or conciseness, or let's say conciseness through prescriptiveness, we want to exactly also tell the agent how to do it. If we know as a human, there are tasks where this is not possible when you're trying to do like novel stuff and whatnot. Okay, so use prescriptive. Do seek to condense the prompt. Okay, so just cut it down. Okay, and don't repeat instructions. Okay, so it's kind of tied to condensing the prompt. We also want to not repeat it. So let's see how this is going to look like. Now, let me see. Can I take this? Yes, I can. So the first instruction we can leave as is, right? So the work folder contains a set of Microsoft Word documents. What I can do, one thing here is I can cut this your task is to. I can just say check all of them for English language and spelling errors and correct all identified errors for each file in place. So this is already a bit more prescriptive, right? Instead of being descriptive, like your task is to check all of them for English language, I was a bit more prescriptive because I told the model exactly what to do. I didn't say something like your task is, I said, no, do this, okay? This prompt itself was already a bit prescriptive because it kind of tells the model how to do it. It splits the work into 2 stages, so we're pretty good there. But what I'd like to also do, I'll do another form of condensation there. If you look carefully here, the second and third paragraphs, they each have this construct, all of them, and for each file. That's a bit repetitive. Instead, this prompt can be completely rewritten by looping the file on the outside, okay? So I would rather tell an agent, for each file, check for English language grammar and spelling errors and correct all identified errors in place. This looks a bit more concise now. It's a refactoring, although again, the number of characters may not be the same, but it is more concise because if now I had a third step that I wanted, let's say I wanted to say like, summarize the findings for all files in findings.md. Or sorry, so summarize the findings for it in findings file name.md. Okay, so now I'm even more prescriptive here. Okay, this is just an example. This is a piece that doesn't exist here, but this also shows that being concise and condensing in the right way allows you to make your prompt also extendable. And this is really kind of sort of the secret goal where I was going, because if I look at this now, I've unlocked a sort of a fourth benefit, which is sort of a hidden one, and was not in the intro to this video. So if you've watched so far, thanks for sticking around. But this, let's call it, this prompt is also a re-entrant agent, okay? So what that means is, and this is kind of sort of where I want to go, is because imagine somebody interrupts the agent in the middle, okay? And let's compare the second and third prompts, okay? So the second prompt, if the agent follows this instruction exactly, and they will, okay? Because you have to be careful what you wish for, because these models are powerful enough these days, they will do exactly what you tell them to. So what are they going to do? First, they're going to check all the files, and only then they're going to start correcting errors for each file in place. That's not necessarily a good thing, because if something interrupts the agent, for example, if I run out of credits in the middle, I may end up with like all the checks were done, or maybe they were mostly done, but nothing was corrected. Whereas this one flips the looping logic around. It says for each file, check for English language grammar and correct all identified errors in place. And I can be even clearer here for each file, one by one, in alphabetical order. There, even better, okay? So now I know that my agent will start working and it'll correct the first file first, then move on to the second one, then so on and so forth. If something interrupts, I can resume the same agent and then we'll see how to do that in a future video, but with a few tweaks to the prompt, I can just add like a re-entrance prompt, right? Where it says, hey, some other entity before you was, oh, let me turn back on. So we can have a re-entrant prompt that says some other agent before you or entity before you had started doing this work, check what files were done, and continue exactly with this work, okay? So this was sort of a bonus. But yeah, this was pretty much the point I wanted to make, that we want to do the 3 C's, right? We want to be clean, start from a clean prompt, okay? Something that specifically describes the task and the environment. Don't just start with something vague like correct all documents in this folder, okay? Then expand it to a clear prompt, which is take the expansion by heart, so add detailed instructions, and then cut it down a bit or maybe reorganize it to something concise and something that uses prescriptive language, okay? And that's it. Yeah, so thanks for watching. What I need to do is I need to figure out how can we test these, and it's probably going to be Claude Code. The only reason I'm not jumping right into it is because I've never used it on Windows, and I do want to look a bit at the settings first in automation. But thanks for all the likes and views on the previous video, and subscribe and stay tuned for more agent stuff. I want us to slowly start building more and more in this new series towards perfect automation, where we just drop an agent in an environment and it just works, okay, without prompting you back for, oh, should I do this, should I do that. The goal would be we write the instructions concise enough, clean and clear enough, such that the agent just automatically works in an environment. So stick around. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.